Hello and welcome back to your Monday with the Mayor segment here on 18 WJTS. Jared Atkins. And although the town of Ferdinand doesn't have a mayor, it normally has as a manager. Well, today we're going to speak with the Ferdinand Town Council President, Ken Sicard. Ken, thanks for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Jared.
So there's a whole lot I want to get to, and there's no better way than to just dive in it. So what's going on around the town of Ferdinand? I know last year, towards the end of the fall, the big discussion was the increase in electric rates. That it's not just hitting Ferdinand, everywhere is starting to see that. And you guys have had a lot going on with framing Ferdinand, your guys' version of a Main-Street Accreditation. The comprehensive plan is all in the talk. So let's get into it. What's going on around Ferdinand?
Okay, well, you brought up, of course, everybody's interested with rates and stuff, our electric rates. We've been very blessed. We have a supplier who supplies us electricity, and realistically, we're probably supplying at 30 to 40% less than our other suppliers around us. Well, they've told us for the last 10 years we've had the same price pretty well. The only reason we upped it about 8 years ago was due just to the cost involved in making everything work. But they're now telling us there's a cost increase coming when our contract ends in 2026. So we're doing our homework, we're talking with different people, and we've basically increased our rates just, end of last year in anticipation of trying to get us ready for the larger increase that's coming. We didn't want to have a humongous increase suddenly show up. We want to work our way into it. So we're trying to do that. We know it's coming, and we'll be doing our due diligence. We'll ask for quotes from other suppliers, and we'll pick out whichever is best for the town of Ferdinand.
Right. And then I wanted to talk to you a minute about framing Ferdinand, as I've mentioned. That is basically the town's version of a Main Street Accreditation program. That launched last year, and we even did some news coverage on it here on 18 WJTS, but it seems like that's really starting to take off. If I'm not mistaken, I know Kim Fisher is a huge part of that for you guys as well, right?
Well, Kim is our marketing person, I guess, for the town, and then she's gotten involved with those. She becomes our liaison, as we say. Lauren Bundy is the current president of that group. Came about because I go back, way back, I've been on the council since 1999, so that kind of places me a little bit. But I remember in the early days of Ferdinand, we had a group in town that helped us do things, or helped the town do things. I can't say us then because I wasn't on the council.
Right.
But it was the JCs. And we were looking for a group of people who would come in and just do very similar to what the JCs did. And Framing Ferdinand came about. And Lauren Mundy and her group are very, very industrious, got a lot going. Kim keeps us up to date. They had their Walktoberfest, I believe is what they call it, a one-day affair. They're getting ready to have, what's it called? I have it in my notes here, just so that I wouldn't forget things like that. But it's Blossom in the
Community
spring.
in Bloom event.
Community
Yeah,
in
that's
Bloom.
right.
All of that's coming about, and they're getting tremendous participation of a lot of people. So for us, it was a way of getting another group in to help us push economic development and just building on what we have. And they seem to be doing a great job. The town financially supports them, and we'll continue to do that because we see it as a tremendous benefit to the town.
And they're doing a lot of good things over there. We're always seeing press releases from them and emails, and of course, Kim is always, all over the Ferdinand social media, and she's always sharing framing Ferdinand stuff. And that brings me to another question. I want to talk to you a little bit and see if you can explain to everybody a little bit about the comprehensive plan. That's something that's been mentioned a lot more. If I'm not mistaken, about a month or two ago, you guys held a kind of a big public event talking about the comprehensive plan. And I know I was at the town council meeting with you guys last week, and you guys covered a little bit more about that. Can you talk a little bit about the comprehensive plan?
A comprehensive plan is something that through the state government is making into almost a mandatory document that you have to have. In order to qualify for grants and loans and stuff, you have to have a plan. Ferdinand had one, we had it in place. We partially updated it a number of years ago, but we haven't put a full effort into it. We've had public meetings, and we've even gone into the high school and had meetings with high school students as to what they envision Ferdinand being in the next 10 to 20 years. And we've gotten a lot of feedback. It's been online also. People have been giving us their feedback. That all gets input to it. We had another meeting where we had a rough plan written out of what everybody was looking for, and people were able to respond that, yeah, we think this is worthy, keep it in, take this out, gave us, viewpoints of different things. All of that's been put together, and I think on May 13th, we have another meeting of the Comprehensive Plan Committee, Steering Committee team, getting together to see the first rough draft of it. Then there'll be a public meeting where it'll be made known to everybody. It'll also be out online, and then we'll, goes to the town council to be adopted.
Right.
So,
as we, we're here in the spring, as we start to head into summer and eventually into the fall, what kind of things should people expect around the town of Ferdinand as we continue in through 2025? Any upcoming projects, anything exciting? Like, what's in the works for the town for the rest of 2025?
well, right now, a big one that we're putting a bunch of time into is new possible housing development. We have a developer who wants to put in multifamily and single homes, probably the equivalent of 150 housing units, as they call it. And we've applied for a grant to help pay for some of the infrastructure. That's your streets, your water, your roads, roads and streets are the same thing, sorry about that. Sanitary sewer, the money that comes that is needed to build all of that infrastructure.
Would that be out on the north side of town where
That's
all
on
those
the
developments are?
northeast side of town, yeah. And it's a significant development, for the town of Ferdinand. We've had smaller ones and they've been well received and people have moved in, but this is a very large one and we're very interested in it. So we have applied for a grant. We're still waiting to hear the final word whether we have it or not, because I think it's about $2.3 million grant that we could get that would go into this undertaking, because I think it's going to cost around $14 to $15 million to put up. And of course, it's going to take time. So the town's looking at different things of what we can do to get this grant money and supply to it. So, that's a big one that we've got going. We were talking rates a little bit earlier on electrical. Well, our sanitary sewer plant is of age, as they call it. There's a shelf life for sanitary sewer plants, which is about 20 to 25 years.
There was a long discussion of that at the town council meeting the other night.
And it was one of those where I'm in a webinar and I'm listening about wastewater problems, and the guy goes, well, yeah, wastewater plants only, exist for about 20 to 25 years. And I was sitting there going, yeah, our plant went into operation as it is right now back in 1999, and this was about 2022, 2023. So we're looking at it. It's a major undertaking, a lot of money. So we're doing our research right now of what a rate's going to have to be. Where can we go out and get low interest loans, if at all possible? There's a lot to it, and we're putting a lot of time and effort into that. So that's on our list. Not that we'll get started yet this year in 2025, but we're doing our preliminary work right now on it. We still continue to work very hard with the state in their community crossing matching grant program, which helps us update our streets and all. We just finished Northview Drive, was just repaved. That was all part of the community crossing matching grant program.
It looks very, very good, by the way.
Yes, it does.
It looks great.
Yeah, and I'm sure the people on that street are very happy, because we also replaced water lines before we repaved it. So the street was a mess there for, a month or so, because the weather played heck with us. But, we've been working very hard at community crossing, trying to make our match, and then the state steps in and helps cover a lot of the cost too.
One other thing I wanted to talk about, I wanted to make mention, as somebody that I don't live in Ferdinand anymore, but I go there often. My kids live there, so I'm always in town. All the recent severe weather and the flooding, the storms we've got, damage everywhere. You drive through town, you guys had the limbs picked up, you guys had everything cleaned up relatively quick. Tom and his, department over there for the street department, and the parks department. And I wanted to make mention of the fact that with Heimat Fest is coming up, it'll be here before we know it. Mm-hmm. Does that really change anything how the town operates during Heimat Fest? I know there's a huge influx of visitors and traffic during that weekend.
And we've got 3 times during the year that we have a large influx of people. Heimat Fest is the first one every year. Yeah, the town works very hard. Just prior to that, I know we go out and we mow a lot of yards or areas that the town mows on a regular basis, trying to make sure they're up to date. The parks, our park group and our street department work very hard. You mentioned Tom Leakin as our supervisor. He and his guys do a tremendous job of making sure everything is in place, ready to go. We work very hard when the Heimat Fest is there to pick up trash so it's not overflowing and things, that would impede the look of the fest itself. So a lot of hard work goes into putting these events on. The others are the Folk Festival in September, and then the Chris Kennel Mart that happens there in late November. It's a lot of work to put these things on, and our street department, our park department work very hard at making a presentable face to the town.
They do. Well, Ken, do you have anything else you want to possibly bring up or mention about what people can be on the lookout for in Ferdinand?
Well, something that's coming up, we hope in August we'll get the final paperwork. Most of the town of Ferdinand will be called a historic district, which means that we have homes that are over 100 years old and everything. We went after it because if you have that designation, the people in those older homes, when they come to have to rework them or update them, they can go out and apply for some low interest loans. And so we went after it with that in mind, just to make it available to some of the people. Part of the town is already historic districts, like the monastery, the Sisters of St. Benedict, Christ the King Parish, the Ferdinand campus, the old St. Ferdinand Church. All of those are historic districts. Well, now all the homes around it that are over a certain age will also be known as historic. And
that's incredible.
We're just looking forward to getting that designation. We'll post some signs up, just some more signs for everybody to look as they drive into town. But, just to make available to our homeowners a way to keep those homes looking sharp.
Okay.
So, looking through some quick notes here. We've talked about the comprehensive plan. We just recently had to replace our police chief because our other one moved on to a different job. And then our assistant chief had retired. We've been very lucky. We promoted within Rob Randall as our assistant chief, and now Brian Sefranek as our assistant. We also have 2 young men going to police academy right now, and we've just recently hired in 2 more police officers from other areas. And so, we're now be up to full force once we get these 2 guys through the police academy, and we'll be in pretty good shape there. So it's been a busy end of 2024 and start to 2025.
Yes, it has.
So,
all right. Well, Ken, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming in and speaking with us today.
well, I appreciate the opportunity and look forward to doing this again.
All righty.
Okay.
And that's been your Monday with the Mayor here on 18 WJTS with Ferdinand Town Council President Ken Sicard, and your weather is next.